Hello folks. Well, I thought I'd do something different for our forging video today. So I'm going to be forging a friction folder. A while back ago we bought some pony shoes to do some of our little artistic work with. I've got one left and I'm going to try to use that pony shoe. Alright, let's get started. We've got our pony shoe there. I've got 2 center punch marks I've made to mark center of the shoe, and a chisel that I've ground off into a nice rounded fuller. We're going to make a depression right there. I'm just making this depression in the center of the shoe to give the shoe someplace that's easier to fold. Got it started. Need to make it a little deeper. That ought to do. Get it back warmed up. Just put down a little piece of one of my old Hardy tools from my other anvil and use it to fold this horseshoe right on the depression, right on the crease I made. Need to make sure I get both legs of the shoe even. Now that I've got it started, I've got a piece of 1/8 inch stock in there, which is what I'm going to use for the blade. And we're just going to smash that down until it fits nice and tight on that 1/8 inch stock. Well, I'm not actually going to use that piece of 1/8 inch stock. Got a piece of scrap for that. And there's our horseshoe folded over. Got a piece of 1/8 inch scrap here. 1084, 1095, something like that. And we're going to forge our blade out of that. Going to start out by turning down the tip, as always. Working both sides, make sure we keep our thickness right. Just even it out a little bit. Address that thickness again. Do believe that's going to do. Now, it's not the way I normally do it. I usually start at the heel of the blade and work out. But in this case, I'm going to have to start forging my bevels in from the tip, because I'm not exactly 100% sure how the length is going to work out on this horseshoe. It's going to have to kind of go by ear. So I'm going to forge my bevels back a little bit. And we'll get our horseshoe down, and I'm just remembering the spot on my anvil to know just about how long I want to make the blade, so I know where to stop forging my bevels. Forge the bevels back to the point where I remembered it, and hopefully it's close enough. Dress everything up a little bit. Make sure we got most of the hammer marks out. Make sure everything's straight. Now, I'm going to fit the blade in and mark where the heel of the blade's going to end up. And now I'm just going to make a little mark there on there with the edge of the anvil, because I'm going to use a piece of 3/16 round stock, and I'm going to hammer my hot steel down onto that at the previous mark to mark where the heel of the blade is going to be. And that's the point where I want my bevels to end. So I'll forge back to that mark, forge my bevels back to that mark. Straighten things up a bit. Just dress everything up, make sure it's right. Or close enough to right anyway. Check my length again. Yep, I believe that's going to work. Where did I put that pencil? Ah, there it is. Now I'm going to mark where the very end of the blade is going to be. And I'll put a center dot right there. So I can see my mark when it's hot. There we go. Now into the fire. All right. Now I need to forge from that mark down. And I'm going to push that steel upward until it's nice and thin and leave a little tab right at the back. It'll be easier to do if I nip it off first. So I've got my hardy cutter out. All right, steel's plenty hot. Just gonna mark it, just gonna whip it off right there at the mark. Go ahead and break it off. Now it's gonna be a lot easier to draw that little tab out there on the back of the blade. Forge it down. Get it about where I want it. It's still gonna be a little too long, but that's okay. I can knock it off again on the grinder. And since we've got it forged down down to the thinner part, I'm going to use the peen side of a ball peen hammer to spread it out. Straighten everything back up. Use the peen side to spread it out so it's a good wide spot for a person to rest their thumb on the spine of the knife. Get everything back straight. Yep, and I'll grind that little bit extra off. Okay, there's our horseshoe, there's our blade roughed out. Let's make sure everything's going to fit the way I need it to. You can kind of see where I spread that out to make the little thumb rest on the back of the blade. I believe everything's going to fit. Now I need to drill my pinhole. And I'm going to use 3/16 steel for this pin. So it's going to be pretty sturdy. We've got our hole drilled. A little piece of pin stock. It's pretty tight, but that's okay. It'll loosen up. Thing is though, the blade's folding too far in, so I'm going to put a 1/8 inch brass pin in there for the blade to rest on so it doesn't close too far and bind. And our blade has been heat treated and polished up. If I can get it to sit in this dadgum bowl of water. There we go. I edge hardened this blade, but even though that should be fair enough, I'm still going to temper the blade with a torch. Sort of the old-fashioned way to temper a blade by applying heat to the spine and watching the colors run. I really want that area there around where the pin goes in to be really soft. So that should soften the spine, leave the edge nice and hard. Just got to take your time and let the colors run. Get nice and blue on the back and sort of a straw color running down right to the edge. Camera's really not showing how the colors are running very well. But believe me, it's bluing up nicely along the spine, and I've got a straw yellow or light brown color running down towards the edge, which is exactly what you want. When that tempering is done, everything's fitted together. Just time to peen the pins over. Dry the anvil off. Use the ball side of the ball peen hammer to peen the pins. Fasten everything together. That'll have the blade locked in. Then we'll peen our little brass blade stop pin and give it a brush up. I think it's going to be pretty nice. All right, we got that one finished up. Here she is. Got that 3/16 steel pin, little brass pin for a stop, keep it from closing too far. It's plenty tight. Matter of fact, it may be just a little too tight right now, but you'd prefer your friction folder to be too tight rather than too loose. There we go. As long as the hand or fingers on that thumb button, even if it is a little loose, it can't close on your hand. It's plenty sharp. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure and subscribe. Be sure and leave us a like, leave us a comment in the comment section. Share the video around. We could always use some more subscribers trying to grow the channel. God bless and have a great day.